A lot of people complain they don't know how to use AI, but AI could literally teach you how to use AI, right? You don't know what to do. You don't even know how to prompt it. You can say, this is what I want to do. How do I prompt you to do this? Recently, I've been working on building a native space where I generate directly from my computer. So for a while, I've not been using any of those softwares. And I saw a step-by-step guide on what to download, how to install it, the folders to create, what to do next, And while I was doing all of those things, there were errors on my way, and I had to still fall back to him. And he said, "No, don't fall back to me. I've given you the roadmap, the guideline to do this. Yes, the template. So anytime you encounter any error, just ask Cloud. To produce a 5-second video, you need 20 units. But if you're using 2.0 to produce the same 5-second video, you need up to 100 units. One time I was prompting for a scene. I will send you the clip later. And I kept insisting that the old woman in the park should just sit and observe the young lady. But each prompt I made, the old woman would be talking. I would change the prompt and say, make sure this old woman is not talking. I would give the command again and I would get the same result. So as long as that kept on happening, it's counterproductive. And I was losing units.
Part of the demonization of AI, especially the sloppy one, is because of people that go ahead and use these tools, heavy duty tools, to generate videos that add no value to people that are watching the content. So essentially just sloppy. I've seen videos of just a cat and a mouse, like shallow stories without any depth. My question is, outside of faceless YouTube channels, what other ways have you seen creators or people or your clients try to use AI generated videos and images? Hi, my name is Chika, and this is Synthesis on Script. I've enjoyed working on this and hope that you find these episodes as stimulating as I have, or even more. It is my pleasure to welcome you to Conversations on Tech and AI. Thank you so much, Cykloud. I'm very, very happy to have you on this episode. It's been a long road to have you here.
Yeah, it is. It's been.
So we would like to get to know a little bit about your background. In fact, tell us about yourself. I would have loved to read a whole epilogue, but I don't think I'll do justice to your CV. That's why I'm giving the baton to you.
Yes. Hi everyone. Thanks once again for having me on the show. My name is Cykloud. Cykloud actually means Supreme Cloud. Chinedu Ndukwe. I am a video editor, an animator, and a brand identity motion designer. I think that's basically it. Yeah, that's it. No long time.
Thank you. Thank you for the brevity of your intro. So, Chinedu / aka Cykloud, I call him Cykloud. I invited him here so we can discuss how AI has impacted video editing. I think that was one of the first things that was hit hard when video generation became a thing. And since then, video editors have had to evolve. But before we start on that, can you give us a little bit of information on the kind of jobs you do, and then we'll go from there to how AI has impacted how you do your work now?
Okay, so like I said, I'm into animation, I'm into video editing, I'm into brand identity motion design. I started out as an animator back in 2020, and with time, I had to delve into the other areas I talked about. I basically edit movies, I edit different contents for content creators, podcasts, gaming contests. I do effects as well, visual effects. And I create 3D animations.
That sounds like a lot of GPU power. I'm thinking graphics, heavy duty stuff. So can you throw more
Yeah,
light on the kind of tools that you use?
my hardware is basically I use a Ryzen 7 processor. I use NVIDIA softwares. The different industries require different softwares. For animation, I use Autodesk Maya. For motion design, sometimes it depends on the kind of logo animation I'm working on. I could need to use a combination of both Maya and After Effects, or I could use just After Effects depending on the particular thing I'm working on. Then for editing, I started out using Premiere Pro. Then I
That's
transcended
Adobe.
into, yes, Adobe Premiere Pro. Then I got a hint of CapCut. I started using CapCut as well. But right now, my main tool is DaVinci Resolve.
Oh yeah. So I I wanted us to bring the conversation up to the AI angle because I know when AI went mainstream and video generation became a thing, and since 2022 when ChatGPT was launched, video generation has evolved massively to the point that people cannot even. It's very difficult. It takes a very trained. Even the trained people now are finding it difficult to detect AI generated images and videos, and AI has gone from being able to only generate maybe like a few seconds of videos to longer videos. How has that impacted your work? How have you had to evolve with the tools that you're using and the skills that you've had to learn? Please let us know more on that angle.
Like most people, at first, I was scared AI was going to, take my job and all of that. But the truth is, AI right now feels like the Holy Spirit in a machine form, right? Because
Wow,
basically,
that's literally the first
for
time I'm
real, yeah,
hearing AI described in that way. Holy Spirit, clock it.
yes, because
Okay, okay.
it basically helps you do everything. Let me start with animation, which is more like the origin of my journey into post production, basically. When where I was doing animation back then, everything was basically manual, right? The closest I was to anything automated was Mixamo. Mixamo is a platform where they upload mocap captures. So you can basically go on Mixamo and download a few captured motions and use in your animation. But it had its own challenges. It does not align with several rigs, and it's not so sufficient. It does not cover all space, right? It's not all motions that you need that you would find on the platform. After a while, the next phase that became more flexible was Rococo. Rococo launched this AI server that allowed you record videos and upload, and then they would
Is that a
convert it
recent
to.
development or before ChatGPT?
It's no, it's not before ChatGPT. ChatGPT came and then they started working. So because of course ChatGPT started out with the whole chat thing, right? Before they ventured into video and all of that. So this is the video era. So
Yes, I referenced ChatGPT more because it was when ChatGPT came that people rushed in, kind of like it made AI mainstream. It made it
yes,
something that everybody could use
yes,
instead of niche people, like niche technical people. So they could just use it.
yes. ChatGPT was obviously the more like the foundational tool that brought everybody's attention to AI and its capabilities. So it was
Yes.
obviously after ChatGPT that Rococo decided to, because Rococo had been into producing mocap suits, right, for studios to use and do their motion captures. Then after ChatGPT came, people started delving into AI. In fact, Rococo was the first AI tool that I used for animation, but it had its own challenges as well because it wasn't so smooth as of then. When I was that's 2-3 years back. 2-3 years
Okay.
back, yes. After that era, I tried using Rococo for a while before delving into the whole complete production with the likes of Kling AI, the likes
Yeah,
of
Clean AI. I've heard of it.
Hey Gen, and what's the other one? I'm trying so hard to remember the other one I used, but I used Kling majorly
Okay.
because it gave me a sharp, the quality was sharp, and
Mhm.
then it had less glitches, it had less errors, it had more strict adherence to prompts, and it was more effective basically. So that was what I
Okay.
used for animation to a large extent.
Mm.
Then the other tools for video editing, basically, I've used ChatGPT, I've used Cloud, but ChatGPT works more for creative things. Cloud works more for coding and the rest of it.
Okay, Claude. Yes, Claude is more
Yes,
technical. The MIDI for more technical people. Um.
yes,
So
yes.
these tools, how did you settle on these particular tools? Did you have to do a lot of experimentation? I know that's the standard procedure, but what?
Okay,
Yeah, just let me.
yes, of course, I had to jump around different tools before arriving at the cling. I mean, you know when you're looking for something, the moment we find it, you settle, you get. So I had
Yes.
to
Yeah.
use one at some point, but I discovered that cling was still way ahead of one. That was last year. I didn't do so much of moving around, you get,
Yeah.
because
Did you
I
ever
know I'm
try
looking for.
Gemini or Sora?
No, no, I didn't use Sora. I didn't use Gemini. I didn't use Gemini for video production. What I used for video production was this other one that belongs to Google. Google
Vio.
is
Is it Vio?
yes, yes. I used View. I used I used
which
View,
which model
and
of Vio?
it was 1.6, I guess. Yes, it
That's
was
actually
View
like the
one.
first gen.
Yes, View 1.6. But Kling was Kling gave me a better result after then, right? Because the
Even up
picture
till now.
quality. No, no, no. Of recent, I've not been using any of those of recent. In fact, recently I've been working on building a native space where I generate from directly from my computer. So for a while, I've not been using any of those softwares, and I've not had any serious animation gig of recent. It's been mostly
Oh,
video editing that I've been working on of recent. So I've not had any need to use
any
Kling
generation.
and the rest for animation. Yes.
Okay, I would like for
So,
us to
so
unpack how you got to having AI run locally on your server. But for the tools angle, I still have more questions. Part of the demonization of AI, especially this sloppy one, is because of people that go ahead and use these tools, heavy duty tools, to generate videos that add no value to people that are watching the content. So essentially, just sloppy. I've seen videos of just the cat and the mouse, like shallow stories without any depth.
low
Market
effort
for
content.
yes. So and the market for AI generated video was mainly for people that were doing faceless channels or faceless content where they had to, before AI, before the era of AI, they had to go and download stock videos or pay for videos to be able to narrate their content. And they were actually still offering value, and they still offer value even while they have started using AI. My question is, outside of faceless YouTube channels, what other ways have you seen creators or people or your clients try to use AI generated videos and images?
Oh, okay. So there are several ways people use AI generated videos. One of them is UGC. UGC is basically creating content for brands. So what you do basically in UGC is that you probably get a model of their product and create a content around the product. And AI makes it easy for you to do that because you really don't need to have a physical touch of the product. You could create everything digitally, have a model, talk about the product. So UGC is a place where AI is heavily used. AI generated videos are heavily used in that field. That is basically advertising. The other angle where people use these AI created videos are in the field of video editing and filmmaking. It made visual effects very easy. It made it so easy for you to get into visual effects, something that should take you probably weeks, months to produce. You can just do it within a day, if you understand your way around prompting and all of that. So movie production, advertising, visual effects, these are all areas people are using AI created videos to augment what they are doing.
So now AI has essentially raised the bar for the quality of content that people put up, because I've seen a lot of creators use green screen for most of their stuff, and I know that some of the high end editing that goes into even short form content, clips that are not even up to 3 minutes, but the level of editing that goes into it, the quality that they're able to put out, I know that AI has enabled most of these things. So
Yes.
now, back to running AI on your local server. How has your experience been? I know that it's kind of difficult. The hardware requirements to run AI is very it's very intense, it's massive. Tell me what your experience has been.
It's been eye-opening, right? Because
Mhm.
I stumbled on the information sometime last year.
Okay.
And when I made an attempt to get into it, it came off a bit too technical. It came off like I needed in-depth knowledge of coding and a whole lot. Because when I saw a few tutorials, they kept on mentioning things that I could not, decipher as at that time. It felt like what I couldn't do, so I left it. But recently, my brother reached out to me because he himself is into the technical aspect of computing and all that. So he reached out to me and said, I have a powerful system that can run all of this. Why not try it? I said, I don't know how. So he said, it's simple. I should just use Cloud. I'm like, okay, Cloud, I don't know what to ask. He said, okay, what we'll do is I'll send you my chat with Cloud. So you just follow the instruction. So basically what he did was to forward me his chat with Cloud, his conversation with Cloud. And I saw a step-by-step guide on what to download, how to install it, the folders to create, what to
Mm.
do next, and while I was doing all of those things, there were errors on my way, and I had to still fall back to him. And he said, "No, don't fall back to me. I've given you the
The
roadmap
guideline, the
to
template.
the guideline to do this. Yes, the template. So anytime you encounter any error, just ask Cloud." I'm like, but I don't know what to ask. He said, just type what you're seeing and say, this is what's happening. How do I move forward? As simple as that. So I did that. I got a response. I tried it. It worked. I'm like, wow, what's happening? So it kind
At
of
that
it kind
point, you
of
had vibe
made
coded
me.
a whole thing. Yeah,
Yes,
that's literally what
at that
vibe code is.
point.
Yeah, being able to code what you
mm,
want, even without technical skills.
yes. It opened my eyes somewhat to this whole AI thing because a lot of people complain they don't know how to use AI, but AI could literally teach you how to use AI, right? You
Mm,
don't know what to do. You don't even know how to prompt it. You can say, this is what I want to do. How do I prompt you to do this? AI
yeah,
will give you the right prompts that you give back to it and then you move on. So AI that's basically why I said AI is like the
the
Holy
Holy
Spirit.
Ghost.
Yes, it's like the Holy Spirit in form of a system you get because you
Mm,
can literally transfer your confusion to it and then it will bring
mhm.
clarity to that your confusion and guide you through it. So it was a whole lot of back and forth, but it was easy because I had Cloud. I was basically using Cloud, and it kept on directing me on what to do. I kept on doing the downloads, the installations. It made it so easy that it gives me not just what to download, it gives me the download links to the sites where I get to find it, right? And it gives me models that are compatible with my system, because I had to give it a full details of a system spec, and it had to just give me the right models that are compatible with my system and all of that. So at the end of
Did
the
you
day,
have to pay? Were you on the free version of Claude, or you paid for a subscription to be able to do all of this?
no, all of these was on the free version. Even
Awesome.
though at some point, I noticed that Claude was intentionally stalling, right? Because it gets to a point where every prompt he was giving me gave me an error, right? It was more like I was moving in circles because I had prompted it for a while. At that point, I knew this was the case of they need you to upgrade to, a
The paid
higher
version.
level. Yes. So, but what I did was when I got to that point where it became a bit confusing, I had to switch to ChatG. I took what I had gotten so far,
From
I
Claude.
directed it over to ChatG and said, okay, this is what's happening. What's the way forward? And ChatG gave me a different response. That was where I discovered that, okay, Claude was basically stalling. But at the end of the day, I succeeded with the installations. I succeeded with my first generations. And even though it wasn't what I was expecting, because of my GPU, the capacity it could handle, the production looks like the early stages of AI production, AI video production is not as smooth
Yeah.
and as clean as I expect it to be because of the model I was running. It's a smaller model. So for me to
Yeah,
run,
I expected that, like, because all of these generations they take a lot of compute power, and
yes,
I guess
yes.
your CPU, your GPU is just one, so you need like stacks upon stacks, or even the highest version
No,
of just
no,
one,
no,
right?
not really a case of stacks upon stacks. It's basically a spec thing, yeah. So my GPU is a 8 gig GPU. There are GPUs that are 20 gig, there are GPUs that are 16 gig, there are GPUs that are
That's the
34
RAM
gig
now.
and
You need to
above.
increase the
No,
memory.
no, not the it's video RAM. That is the GPU RAM, not the
VRAM,
computer RAM.
yeah.
Yes, the VRAM, yes, the VRAM basically. So my GPU is an 8 gig VRAM GPU. But to run the higher models, I would be needing somewhere around 16 gig, 20 gig, 34 gig, and above. The higher the model, the higher the GPU requirement. Yes.
Uh,
So the model my GPU could run was basically one 2.0. And when I tried LTX, it was still LTS 1.6. Yes, 1.6. So if I'm to move ahead of that to try the higher models that are open source, I would have to upgrade my GPU to probably
okay.
24 gig VRAM GPU or probably 34.
Okay. And GPUs
Yeah.
are very expensive right now, including including memory. I can't even imagine
GPU,
how much that
GPU,
will set you
GPUs are
back.
mad expensive. GPUs are mad expensive. If you're looking at, okay, so because I was working with cloud, I had to ask, okay, so to run these versions, which GPUs would you recommend? The two GPUs they recommended was NVIDIA GeForce 3090
Mm-hmm.
and then 5090.
And
So
what
I've checked.
VRAM do these ones have?
So 3090 is 24 gig VRAM.
Wow,
The 5090 is 35.
wow,
35.
that's a lot of
So
money.
yes, it is. And if you're looking at the cost, they both revolve around $3,500.
My next question is, if you're able to pull it off, or if you had the means to buy the new system requirement to generate videos or images locally on your server, would you prefer that than paying subscriptions to be able to do all of this? Because I know with subscriptions, you only have to do it when you need it. You don't have to keep a subscription running even when you don't need it. Maybe if you just need to generate something, like if image generation with AI isn't a gig or jobs that you get frequently. You don't have to pay an annual subscription. You can pay monthly and just generate what you need and go away. Will it be more economically feasible to pay subscriptions or to just buy and keep just in case?
Simplest answer is, one is ownership, one is renting, right? When you own something, you own it. It's yours whenever you need it, however you want to use it. But when you're paying for subscriptions, obviously what you're getting is units. And these units don't stay in your account forever. If you don't use it, it expires within the time range. And when you do use it, sometimes it's not enough for what you want to do. That is, if you're into high voluminous productions. And of course, these platforms limit the level of results
the credits.
When I was using,
as well.
I don't know about daily limits, but I just know that
even with Claude, when you're just doing prompting for even just brainstorming something that's text related, there's an amount of prompts that you can prompt in a day, and it just locks you out, like you've maxed out your daily credit.
I think that happens when you're using the free version, but when you subscribe,
even with the paid version,
oh wow, okay. Yes. Okay, I don't know about Claude, but the AI platforms that are solely into video productions, they don't have such limits like Kling. You can run a month subscription, and if you decide to finish it today, it's up to you, as long as you have a strong internet to run your prompts and have your videos produced for you. If you like, you can finish your unit in one day, in 1 week. It all depends on you. They don't put limits to how much you can produce. The only thing that happens is sometimes the system gets so congested that it takes a longer time to produce your video.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people on the platform at the same time as you.
Yes. And sometimes too, it feels like they deliberately produce what you don't want. More like you give a prompt for a particular thing to be produced, and there are several glitches to say, let this woman be seated here and just observe the other person. And then the next thing, the woman is talking. Like, there's this project I was working on, and I was using.
Are you still AI videos on Facebook? Oh my god!
So, I think most of the videos on Facebook that you see, I would say a whole lot of it is lazy content. Yeah, the people who are producing those things are, permit me to use the word lazy. They are too lazy to edit their work, right? Because of course AI would give you some not so accurate generations, right? There is room for editing. You need to sieve out, cut out the excesses, use what should be necessary, and then when you don't get the actual results you're looking for, you can reprompt and demand for exactly what it is you're looking for. But I think one of the factors that contributes to the what I call the lazy editing is basically when you don't have the funds to power that strict adherence to your prompting, right? More like, let's say you've already subscribed for a certain number of units and you're on the clock to produce a certain amount of content. And you know that if you keep throwing off the ones that are erroneous, you might not have enough to complete your production. Because these productions, they give you a certain amount of time. More like Kling as of then Kling has 5 seconds, 10 seconds. I don't know if they've increased it right now. So when you're producing, you've already done your calculations. If you have units to produce 40 clips and you've already done your timing, anyone you take out is going to reduce the
The
duration of
amount.
your video at the end of the day, and you might not have enough to fill up the content you want to create. So sometimes they just allow it to flow as long as the the voicing is just there. They just allow it to flow like that. So budget is one of the things that is affecting it. Another thing is not knowing how to edit. Another thing
Mm.
is probably they are not so interested in the edits. They just believe anything can go, so they just
Yeah, sloppy work
let it
is
flow. I
just
mean,
like people are still going to watch
yes,
it
yes,
anyways.
yes, yes. So those are the
So
factors
you
that are
prefer
affecting those things.
to own than to have to grapple with all of these factors.
Yes, yes. I prefer to own the software itself because it gives you room to go as much as, right? It gives you room to just, because right now you're doing a native production. You're not limited by units, you're not limited by funds, you're not limited by any of those things, internet congestion. There are basically no limits to what you can do at this point. It is just
Is
a
that true
software
though? Is
running.
it true that there are no limits to what you can do outside of hardware limits, which you can surpass by just adding more hardware? Don't you have your GPU or your server trying to overheat because you've done so much work within a specific period of time that
Okay,
eventually you
so
still have to slow down and wait for it to calm down and then redo again?
I've never had that situation of overheating because
Mm,
from the beginning I understood that when you're into a heavy GPU business, you don't get into it with a laptop. Why?
mm,
Because laptops are congested, everything is compacted, you don't have
compact.
space.
Yes.
Yes, everything is compact because they had to make it that small. Everything is compacted into themselves. So there is really no space. It causes a whole lot of overheating, right? So the first thing I did was
Mm,
get a desktop, and not just any desktop, a specific desktop that has a lot of fans. It's got space. Everything is spaced out. I have about 6 fans in my desktop, so I've never had that situation where I've needed to shut down and allow the computer to rest a bit for now. I've never had that
okay.
issue. Yes. So
Maybe when
if
you
I
start doing
have
more heavy duty stuff, you might run into such problems in the future. But for now, that's not really a thing for you.
I don't know. I don't know if there is anything. The heaviest my computer has handled is animation rendering. I've worked with this AI tool that I just installed, and it's not still as heavy as Autodesk Maya when you're rendering an animation,
When it was more
right?
manual.
Yes, it's still way lighter. It's still way, in
Uh,
fact, it's way lighter than some jobs I do on DaVinci Resolve.
yes, I want us to talk about DaVinci Resolve, but before we
Yes.
do, I want to ask you, what do you think, or have you had to run into any copyright issues? Because there was, I don't know if it was last year or this year, sometime this year, a particular content creator was saying that, or somebody made a video and said that he just typed a specific prompt, and the AI model he was using kept using a specific content creator, which is a real life human being now, to produce results for him. Like the whole video was based on a real life human being. You know that these models were basically trained on our data, and they are supposed to just generate AI human beings that are not like real life human beings, like mesh specific features from different people, like your eyes with another person's nose to kind of like do a soup of a human being that's supposed to use exactly one person to do all of that. So that's where some of the copyright issues come up from. And the guy had posted the video, and the creator contacted him and was trying to sue or threatening to sue. And the guy made a video and was like, it's not his fault. He paid for this. And if anybody says that he's lying, in fact, he pasted a prompt that people should check. And people used exactly his words and used that model, and it was generating exactly that lady. like every single person was getting hacked. So have you had to run into issues like this, or in that kind of scenario, it's supposed to even be? I know the AI model owners is supposed to be held, but these are issues that we eventually start running into.
Okay, so most times these AI platforms, they put out disclaimers to distance themselves from things like that, and they equally try as much as possible to make sure you're not generating individuals, popular people, and things like that. I think that a situation like this that you just mentioned, the creator that generated this content should be held liable, because if you generate a content and AI is giving you a real human, you should know that this person, or unless the person did not know that
Yeah, he did not know.
this
Yes,
particular
he didn't know. Yes,
okay,
yes.
okay, in situations like that, they can work it out between themselves, pull down the content and all of that. But I've never had an encounter like that. I think that's because I've never had to use a single platform for all my generations. It's always
Mm,
been from this to this, right? So like when I was using Kling, my routine was to generate images first. I generate images from Leonardo, and then I move those images to Kling. Now, why is it? Because when I do a direct prompting, I don't get exactly what I want from Kling, both quality wise and result wise. So
mm,
I generate my images first. I decided to use image to video because I discovered it gave me a better quality.
and
Because
text video
when,
direct.
yes, it gave me a better quality than text to video, because first off, the image comes with and comes at a very high level already. So all Kling needs to do is to identify the the subjects in the image and then animate them, right? It doesn't need to go through the process of trying to generate this
You abstracted
subject at
that
that
level
point.
of difficulty for it already.
Yes, yes. So it doesn't need to apply so much power in trying to go through the stress of generating, and it kept it consistent. You know, that
Mm,
image gave me the assurance that okay, this image is at least exactly what I'm looking for. So just give it this animation, this movements, so that I get the video quality I'm expecting. So I never had to encounter issues like that, because from the image I already knew what I was expecting.
so you're saying that every AI model has their strong points. Um,
Every model is trained to do something specifically more than others. There are models that are used for, if you're into action movies, I would probably
mm,
need to research that. Yes, I've seen some action movies where you see some fight sequence that you don't
mm,
have. There's little glitch. You don't find glitches in it. Very clean fight sequence. There are some that are strong in animation. There are some that are even stronger in a certain kind of animation, right? There are some that are
wow.
stronger in, yes, there are some that are stronger in, let's say, if you want to do Disney kind of animation, you go to
Oh
this
yeah, yeah.
one.
This is kind of
If you want to do
yeah,
Pixar
they're fine.
style, you go to. So
Mm-hmm.
so like when I was working on the animation I talked about, it was Pixar style, right?
Oh
So
yeah.
while I tried to use View was not really giving me the Pixar style. View was tilted more on the Disney line, right?
Mm,
So it kept on shifting the content and making it created this difference. You could see the difference in the animation style. So I had to jettison View and used more clean, because he aligned with the style I was looking for. You get,
okay.
so obviously different, even in their color grading, the
Mm,
picture quality you're getting, they are not so at par with themselves. Each machine would most likely give you something different from the other, even when you give them the same prompt, picture wise. So different models are built to function better at different places. So it's basically for you to find one that works, that aligns well with your workflow.
Okay. What about sound? Have you had any issues with sound? I know there's 11 Labs. That's the more popular one. At least I've used it.
So I have only used 11 labs. I don't know if there is any other one. I've only used 11 labs for sound, and the sound is pretty clean, right?
Yeah,
Then
very clear. Yes.
for sound effects and scoring, sound scores, I use Vide-Gen, and sometimes I still fall back to stock sounds, platforms like Epidemic Sounds and the rest. But when I need to use AI, it's basically Vide-Gen that I've tried. I know some people say Suno is great too, but I've not tried Suno. I've basically used Vide-Gen.
Okay, that makes sense. So before we move to okay, let's talk about DaVinci Resolve. What has been your experience?
Yes.
DaVinci Resolve was here before. It was one of the OG video editing software outside of
Yes.
Adobe. Yeah. So how has it evolved in the face of all these AI advancements?
Basically, all the mainstream softwares are inculcating AI in their workflows. DaVinci Resolve, one of the things I know DaVinci Resolve has done is there are some new entries they've made. They've obviously introduced AI. There are things you can easily do these days. Before, I think it wasn't possible to just have one click and you change somebody's outfit. But the new releases of DaVinci Resolve, they've inculcated that you could just have one click and you could change the outfits of people. And you know that DaVinci was mainstream because of color grading. Color grading is their mainstay. That's their powerhouse. That's what made them popular. It's more like if you edit in any other software, you move your edit
Still go
to
to
DaVinci
DaVinci
to
to do
color
the
grade.
collaboration.
Yes. So they started out as a color grading software before opening up to the editing and effect with the introduction of, you know how you have After Effects for Adobe. DaVinci has theirs. DaVinci has theirs. It just keeps my memory.
My last question for you is with regards to some of the conversations that people have started having concerning using AI tools to generate things with regards to copyright. Some AI companies have come out to say that people who use their software or their tools to generate video or even images, they might start taking cuts from their profit. Even though you're paying a subscription fee to be able to generate all of these things, they want a cut in the money that you make as a content creator, or in whatever aspect you use these produced images and pictures. If you're able to make money off it, they want a cut. How are creators and the people that edit their videos, which is you now, video editors, trying to navigate these new restrictions, these new problems?
The first time I heard something like this, it came from someone that used Suno, right? That they had that it's part of their agreement and all of that. But one of the things I've not done a deep research, in-depth research on that aspect, but I know that one of the things that they are laying claims on is if the full content is AI generated, more like if the full content is based off of their platform's resources, more like you wrote the song within their platform, you basically did not make much input in creating
they
the
did everything for you,
content, right? Yeah, yes, you basically gave a prompt and they created the lyrics, the beats, they did everything. But if you have, I know of a friend who decided to, instead of just using them as both the tool and the creators, he decided to use them just as the tool by making sure that the voice of the songs he was producing with them was his. The lyrics were
Oh,
written outside the platform, right? He took his time to write the
mm,
songs outside the platform, the lyrics, and even the beat style. What he did was basically he had to hum the beats he wanted. He wasn't
yeah,
just giving them prompts to say, this is what I want, give me this genre, and all of that. He had a lot of inputs into the content, and I think that's a way
mm,
to avoided that issue. So I think things like that can take out that ownership solely from them. And another thing that should be done basically is to do an in-depth study of the terms and conditions. A lot of people just
yeah.
move along without reading. Me personally, I just click and move on. It's sometimes I
You just
try
have to
to
accept
read
because
up.
I,
Yes, if you must use their platform, you would have to
you
accept.
have to
You get,
accept it, because I think even if you
yeah,
try to maybe do the okay, since I don't understand the legal terms, I'm going to hire a lawyer to explain it. If the lawyer explains it and it
yes,
essentially boils down to, if you don't accept what I'm saying, don't use my platform, what will you do? Are you going to
yes.
build your own?
Well, it's one of the reasons why I'm considering building my own
Yes,
and having
yes,
it,
I see, I see.
run locally on my system.
Mm-hmm.
But so far, I still need to make an in-depth research to find out if there are open source sound platforms. So far, I've only noticed there are quite a few that are still that are open source. I've basically been trying
Okay,
to
yeah, for
succeed in the
sound.
video production. Yeah, I've basically been trying to
Yeah, yeah,
succeed in the
I was
production
going to
before
ask.
moving into other aspects of the nativization.
Of the
So when I
generation.
succeed with the video production, then I can probably venture into looking for sound platforms that can run native in my system. So that's
Mm,
one of the ways to
mm,
boycott those things. But the truth is it's not easy because it's capital intensive. For you to run those things in your system, you need a high
on
power
your
system. And of
own.
course, most creators that are on these platforms, not everybody has the capacity to do all
Mm,
of that. So at some point, it's more like a handicap situation to a large extent. It's more like do or do. You can't really run away from it.
mm.
But as time goes on, as things unravel, people would always find a way to make things work. So if it becomes a mainstream issue, I think somehow people would find a way to navigate through it.
That is true. That is the human spirit. We'll always find a
Yeah,
way to solve
yeah,
problems. Yeah. I
yeah.
was going to even ask you how you're finding tools, because I know this when you're doing, whether you're doing image generation or not, some of these models come pre-trained. Some of these things that you're installing on your system to be able to do this thing. So you're finding everything you're able to use to run the models on open source. They are free on open source platforms.
Truthfully, there are pre-trained open source softwares that you get to install, but to customize it to specific needs that you have intentions to do, you can easily ask Claude or whatever AI model you're conversant with to still guide you through the process. Because that's if you don't
Mm,
have the technical knowledge already. Because
mm,
yes, there are several other training tools that you can attach to what you already have that gives you that ability to customize what you're working on.
mm.
So yes, there are customized tools, yes, but you can move further beyond that so that you move
Mm.
beyond limitations.
So at the end of the day, the person that owns whatever it is they're working with, outside of going to subscribe and being at the mercy of the whims and caprices of these companies, because today the model subscription is $10. Maybe something happens, they're trying to maybe pacify their shareholders or their investors. They have to increase to also make their system very profitable.
So here is another thing a lot of people don't know. So most of these AI platforms, most of the websites that are giving out these services are basically running a subscription-based system.
Model.
So what they do is, yes. So what they do is they go to already established AI platforms, pay for their API, take their API and install in their website. So you could be using a Kling API in another website. You could be using a one API in another website. So most of the platforms you see are basically third parties. They pay for APIs, they get access. So you could be using Kling without knowing you're using Kling because you're not on the Kling platform. Yes. It's the same way people could buy, let's say, Starlink and then start selling data to several other people that are maybe close to within the range
Okay,
of
so
their.
there's a lot of
Yes.
middleman. There are a lot of people in the middle.
Yes. Let's say I don't want to probably get higher hard drives or probably higher hardwares to, beef up my system. The other choice I have is to probably pay for API instead of buying subscriptions, right? I can just pay for the API, get an API key, and still run back end. It gives me more leverage.
That makes it easier
it
for
takes
you.
away that. Yes, so it's almost the same. The difference is when you're running the open source versions, you're not making any payments. Everything is absolutely free. So what they do mostly is the versions that are available for the open source market are usually the older versions, right? So when they get a newer model, they hold it for a while, use it for a while, make money off
Milk
it,
it
allow it
very,
to run
milk it very
yes,
well.
milk it.
Now
The
they
moment
put money in
they
everything.
develop a new one, they start considering making the older ones open source, right?
Okay.
So if you're looking to use the open source option, then you're most likely going to use an older model.
I don't think that's much of a problem. If you're going to be using something for free,
Yes.
free, freeloaders
So
cannot be choosing.
yes. And of course, if you know your way around it, because it's one thing to know that this tool is available, it's another thing to, find out how to tweak it to make it work. You get tools are tools. You just have to make it. It's like the fact that we now have lawnmowers. It didn't take away the function of machetes. You know how to use it. You still produce what you need to produce. You get. The newer versions are more efficient, but the older versions are still functional. Another thing is when you're working with API, you're no longer banking on your GPU.
Yes.
You get. You're no longer banking on your GPU.
Still has some work to do, right?
It won't, not necessarily, because your generations will now be on the cloud drive. The platforms. So if you get Kling's API, you're not running the generations directly on your computer. You're running it on their cloud. Yes, on their cloud. So basically, what you'll be banking on at that point is your internet speed. So as long as you have a strong connection, you always get great results and fast results as well. The only difference is front end has to be the subscription where you're limited to a certain number, right? Back end API, you're more like inside the building. You're not standing outside and you're having someone stab you through the window. API gives you access into the building. So
I like it.
more
That's a
like a
very
buffet.
vivid description. And I like when things are
Yes,
vivid. Yeah, that makes sense.
yes.
Yeah. So
So
you have
you're
an all you
inside the
can eat
building.
buffet with APIs, right?
Yes, yes, yes. It's a buffet at that point. Just that
Mm.
it's way more expensive than being served.
Yeah.
It's more like retail and bulk purchase, right?
Mm.
So when you're getting
Mm.
the API, you're more like a distributor at that point. You're more like you're
Mm.
making a bulk purchase. You're more like a partner.
Now you explain it like this makes it feel like using a sledgehammer to kill a fly. Wouldn't it be too much
Well,
power?
it depends on your needs and
Mm.
what your intentions are. Because
Mm.
if, for instance, I have access to the API, then I'm not just
Mm.
going to relax and say I want to use it. I would obviously outsource it.
You
It's
automatically
not.
become a retailer.
Yes, yes, you automatically become a retailer. So you won't just be using it for yourself at that point. You can outsource to studios, you can strike deals with different companies and make money out of it. So if you're just looking to produce for yourself, then getting access to the
An API is
API,
overkill.
my yes, it's an overkill. Unless you're running a big studio where you know that you have a team of generators who are standby on, probably you guys have a chain of productions to do, and you need a high volume this thing. So that would be a good rationale. But apart from that, it makes no
Okay.
sense. It should be an overkill.
Okay. Yeah, that
Hmm.
distinction is very important so that because even I would imagine that the price would be so high that a retailer would just know, or somebody that's on the retail side of things would know that this is not meant for you.
Yes, yes, it's that high. It's that high. Even the subscription itself is not so low. I mean, it's not something you just.
How much
It's
are we
something
looking
that
at?
when you. Okay,
What's the
so
typical price?
as of last year when I used Clean, let me just do a quick search so that I
Yeah,
don't,
yeah. Mm.
because um, it hasn't changed much on Clean, but it has changed on Naira.
So
You get.
just give me the dollar valuation
Yes.
then.
Okay, so what happens is different models require different amount of units. Let's say if you're using 1.6, which was what I used mostly in Kling when I used it, to produce a 5-second video, you need 20 units. But if you're using
Mm-hmm.
2.0, if you're using 2.0 to produce the same 5-second video, you need up to 100 units.
Well, that's a times five.
So
That's a five
yes.
x.
So 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 that's yes, yes. So the model you're using to make your productions determines how much you're spending at the end of the day. If you're using the lower versions, if you're using the lower models, you spend less, right? So
Less, but the quality will
your units,
be more
yes,
frustrating.
yes. And sometimes when you even use the higher models, you don't really see the difference. It's
Mm,
not a guarantee that you will not have failed productions. It's not a guarantee that there will not be some generations that will not give you exactly what you're expecting. I don't know why
mm.
it happens. So at some point, I felt that it's intentional with these platforms. They do it so that you run out of units and probably,
That could
subscribe
be a
for more.
thing.
Because
Sabotage could be a
yes,
thing.
yes, because okay, it's more like one time I was prompting for a scene. I would send you the clip later, and I kept insisting that the old woman in the park should just sit and observe the young lady. But each prompt I made, the old woman would be talking. I would change the prompt and say, make sure this old woman is not talking. I would, give the command again, and I would get the same result. So as long as that kept on happening,
You were
it's
prompting and using up your.
counterproductive, and I was losing units.
I've never paid to do video generation or even image generation, and I've used them on the free model, on the free version, both on Microsoft's own. I've forgotten Microsoft's video generation one now. I've used on Gemini as well, but for each time that I've had to reprompt something because maybe something in the picture or in the production was not exactly how I wanted it, it just kept making it worse. So I know that sabotage could be a thing so that you can make more money, but there's also the fact that sometimes these AI models are just never going to be as accurate as a human being.
This situation that you just described is one of the things I thought of earlier, but at some point you get to realize that when they fail or when they give you a result that is not what you demanded for, it's not because you gave them something way too complex.
It's
When you're,
literally the most simplest
when you're, yes, it could be something he has done before. It could be something you prompted before and they've given you a clean result. Just that you want some, probably you want a little difference in the prompting or something, and then it fails. So you see that if you've done this thing before, it should be consistent. So that's the point where you begin to think that
but
it could
I think
really
that's
be
human
sabotage.
thinking. I want
No,
to I
no,
want to
I
believe
see.
the sabotage angle, and I'm not completely ruling it out. But I know that the thing with, I don't even know the term now. I think there's something called over prompting where you expect the AI to have common sense like a human being. Like if you tell somebody don't do this and they keep doing that thing, you will say that the person doesn't have common sense, right? We see it in human beings,
Okay.
but it's more prevalent with AI because for you it's just the simplest of tasks, but to the AI it probably is not the simplest of tasks. How about we look at it
Hmm.
from that
I
angle? It's
I
there's
really
a
don't think
concept.
I really don't think because here is the thing, yeah. AI is a machine and machine run on systems, right? So if this AI has been modeled or trained to know that to identify fingers, anytime I
Mm,
say fingers, this is what it is. And I've prompted it 3 times to say fingers and it brings this. Then every other time I prompt fingers, I should have this because it's running with on a system,
mhm.
right? So for every single time I give it that information or I give it that data, it is expected that it produces that result because it's a system. You get so it's not a case of common sense.
I don't know um if we're now over. I cut it short because I wanted to say the fact that you keep saying because it's a machine, you expect it to be perfect because machines are just supposed to follow prompts. Even when
No,
you're coding, once you
I
say
think
this is the step, don't bypass it.
perfect is not the word, yeah. Perfect is not the word
Mm,
I would use. I would use
mhm,
consistent. I would use consistent instead, not perfect. Let's speak English now. What's the
mhm.
distance between, okay, let's say it's from
Oh, I like this angle that you're coming from because you said what's the distance between
yes,
something. There was this, yeah, when the people started calling like AI models like ChatGPT, the conversational ones, and this is text now, where people are asking it how many R's are in Raspberry, and first of all, it's going to give you the right thing, and then you ask it, are you sure? Then it now gives you another number that's totally far from the original. Maybe it says three the first time, and you ask it, "Are you sure?" That "Are you sure?" now makes it think, maybe I'm not sure. Then it now says two, and then you're like, "It's wrong. It's three." Then it goes back to say. So you see that whole. I think I didn't want to call it over prompting initially, but now in this particular case, it's more like hallucination, where it's trying to tell you what you think, so it's trying to pacify you. But this is just in text, something that you think it's very simple. You in your human eye, you can see it's literally three. But the model is not right. It doesn't see prompts the way we see it. It doesn't see text. It doesn't see images. It doesn't see pixels the way we see it. That's why I think that's why you're finding it difficult to just say that this is very simple. It's the most basic of things. Why can't you be
okay,
consistent?
so this angle you're bringing up now is one of the things I know that they do with these platforms is that they control it in such a way that it appeals to the human, right? Some of it are conditioned in a way that it doesn't come off harsh or it avoids, it always wants to dance
Conflict
around
or
your feelings, your
Mm.
emotions. It doesn't want to just give you facts the way it is. It's always considerate. One thing voracious users do is, and of course, if you understand that this is a thing, you can give it a command to say, do not consider this, do not consider my emotions, be blunt, be
Be
real,
blunt,
just
be as
and
blunt as
you get.
possible.
So there is room for things like that. It's more like when you're giving a prompt for an image and you're still giving it negative prompts. When you say, give me this, you continue by saying, don't give me this. So you combine both positive and negative prompts, positive being what you expect, negative being what you're not looking for. So these are all measures or methods of using these platforms to make sure that you're getting exactly what you're demanding for. But at some point, still, with all of this,
We're actually on the same page, because in as much as the 3 hours and 2 hours things is a problem, people have also come up to say that sometimes they have noticed that some of these models have been tweaked in a way to keep you in a conversation with them, so that you don't just type and get what you want and walk away. It wants you to keep conversing. So the more you converse, the more you're training the AI with your data, the more they are farming your data, and the more you're using up your units now, because units literally became a thing as of recent, right? They started doing walking around the hood, but initially it was more about your data when it was still on the free model, when you could do a lot of things on free mode in all of these models. It was more about getting to know you more, because most of the times these AI models are trained. They're not fully trained to become the best version of themselves. They're trained to just be enough, and they put them in beta. The beta users test and give feedback. They improve on them. Then they make it public, and people start using it. As you're using it, they keep releasing new versions. Those versions are updated. They're updated and made better than the version that you initially made them at. Those updates are working based on how you reacted. Maybe people started complaining that, oh, open ChatGPT is too effusive. It tells you sweet words. It uses big language, and then that feedback, improve on it, and it became more. It's called model tuning. They tune it based on what people are saying about it. So now, at some point, they had a ChatGPT version that will tell you what you want. If you want to reduce the feelings part, it will be more harsh. Like they give you that option as well. So
to take
essentially,
the
well,
emotions of the
yes,
machine.
essentially, what I'm saying is, people, the argument for sabotage and trying to make you keep prompting to use up your units is valid.
Your
And
unit.
then there's also
Mm.
there's that argument that maybe these AI models, we shouldn't be seeing them as things that should just follow prompt, because maybe they don't have that capacity as of right now at the stage that we're at. So those two truths can actually coexist. That's my own stance. But I will still defer to you, because you're the one who has been using these tools more.
My point basically is, if this is hand, you've identified it several times. Anytime I say
Let it
hand,
be
it
hand.
should be
It
this.
should always
It
be
should be
hand.
this. So anytime I notice that you're no longer giving me hand, it means you probably have a node that says sometimes don't give them hand. You get,
Your argument,
because
yeah,
if you
it
don't,
makes sense.
because if you don't have that, you, I mean, what's stopping you from showing me hand every time I say that's basically
Yeah,
my point. That's why I'm sticking to that argument. You get,
right.
but
Okay,
it's all good.
it makes sense.
It's the truth is it's getting better. When they started off, the production was just totally bad. It wasn't even manageable. When you try
Mm,
getting videos, it glitches, it wobbles, everything just breaks in and out and all of that. They worked on it, improved on it, you know. So as we move on, they keep improving on different things, picture quality, consistency, prompt adherence, and all of that. So as the day goes by, it just gets better. That's just the thing. That's the reality
mm.
of it all.
Okay, I've asked so many questions. I've gotten so much answer, and my knowledge this team bank now on video editing, especially in regards to AI, and just even only just video editing has increased. I know a lot. more with regards to video editing. I know what tools to look out for. I know I've always known about Clean AI, but I've gotten more in-depth insights based on our conversation. So I'm deeply, deeply grateful and appreciative of the time you have spent. We spent way more time now. Even the brief. so the conversation kept expanding and it kept accommodating. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.